So I'm from Somerset and Willingboro, New Jersey. So over in Somerset, I was in the house a lot. So probably like around 12 is once I started staying in the house, because that's around the time I started doing like a little bit of dating, staying on the phone and stuff like that a lot more. And then I slowly started to get into cooking since I was in the house so much because I could kind of multitask and stuff. So I'll definitely say that Willingboro is definitely a small town, right? But it's a lot of big personality and a lot of big talent that's coming out of it, from music to food to sports. Like just because we're super small doesn't mean that we should be underestimated. We have a lot of heavy hitters coming out of the town. What I think Willingboro prepared me for the outside world is, I will say, maybe the accountability side of things. Cause I feel like even though I was younger and I was, selling the food platters, doing the cinnamon rolls and things of that nature, I would even still have some of my customers communicate with me and let me know like, hey, I don't think it was up to par this time, or, it was great this time and things of that nature. So that kind of gave me that ability to really be able to grow, and not just give anything out to anybody just because, again, I was young. Honestly, I discovered it in baking and pastry and Chef Harvey's class when I was 14. So again, when I was younger, I started playing in the kitchen and stuff. I even remember making my dad like little popcorn chicken parmesan and stuff like that, just playing around. But then as I got into high school, that's where I really discovered my ability to really be able to experiment with food, and it came out really good, from food to baking. So when I was in Chef Harvey's class, she did hold us all to a very high standard, and I took it serious. I think maybe a little bit more serious than some of the others around me because I knew that I really had a passion for it. But again, my passion slowly started to come out over time. I didn't know for sure this is exactly what I was going to end up going into. Well, from 14 to 18, I was doing some market research and stuff like that for the business. So I was kind of prepared a little bit in the business department. And I also learned early on that the only difference between a small business and a big business is the amount of customers. But once you start to do some deeper research in there, it's like, okay, well, why can they afford to have more customers than what we can? Okay, maybe it's because they have the SOPs in place, they have their recipe things in place, they have the insurance, all the different things that they need to have, and they have the different departments. Okay, well, now that means I need to start implementing certain things. But honestly, it came from a whole lot of research and me just kind of watching, and taking in the information rather than just letting it go over my head. Because for me, since I was 14, my biggest goal has always been to be able to franchise Cranky Granny Sweet Rolls. I never was fine with just having a one location or a mom and pop shop or anything like that. I always had really big goals for the business because I knew what it was. I knew what it is that I had in my hands. Um, but outside of that, it was really just figuring it out on my own. I didn't have too many mentors or anything along those lines. Again, I just had that will and determination in myself. So honestly, I was 21. I wasn't in school. I didn't have any kids or anything like that. So I didn't have any major responsibilities except for Cranky Granny Sweet Rolls and doing the food. So I was just like, you know what? Why not? I felt like I'm the youngest of three. I'm the youngest girl. My older sisters are literally like 16 and 20 something years older than me. I'm young enough to be their kid. So even my nieces are around my age and stuff. And I feel as though I've always been independent, but I also was able to rely on people around me for a lot of things. So like, for example, I didn't even really know how to do my own ponytail, so I was like 20 years old. So I was like, yeah, no, that's not going to work. So I just really didn't want to be dependent on anybody. I think that just might be the Capricorn nature of me. And I was like, you know what? Not only is moving to Texas going to be a journey for me personally, but it is for my business as well. Because I've been selling stuff from the ages like 4 or 5 years old, from the candy to little bracelets to little pagers and stuff like that. So I'm like, it's one thing to grow your business where you're from and where people knew you to literally to always be selling something. So essentially, I've been growing a customer base since I was like 4 or 5. So it's one thing to kind of grow your business where you're from, but it's another thing to take that somewhere else where people don't know who you are at all and see if that same idea could work. And I've been able to do that with Cranky Granny Sweet Rolls coming all the way over here and even signing for our first storefront just 4 months after that. So I came here to visit one time because I was in this business group called Alluvione, where it was other entrepreneurs that were, they had their own businesses and stuff, and we would get on like different Zoom meetings and kind of check in and, see how everybody's doing, see if anybody needed any type of support. And the owner of the group actually lived here in Austin, Texas, and his father-in-law had a restaurant called Midtown Live over in Austin. And I came out here to visit. I was only out here for like maybe 2 or 3 days. And honestly, I really just fell in love with Austin. I think it was a whole lot different than what Willingboro was. It was going kind of fast paced. It was a lot going on. And it was kind of weird, but in a good way. And I was like, you know what? Why not? So the father-in-law had gave me an offer. He was like, hey, yeah, if you come out here, I'll let you sell your cinnamon rolls out of here for free. And again, I'm 21. I don't have any major responsibilities back home in Willingboro. Why not? So let's just go. So by the time I was 18, I started doing our first pop-up shop, sold out, did really good. That was the year of 2017, the same year that I graduated. Kept doing the pop-ups, was doing like speaking engagements and stuff like that from Willingboro to Philly to Newark, different pop-ups even over in New York. And then I eventually left. Honestly, I have those times too often because it really is hard. I mean, like I remember even before I came here to Texas, I had a moment where I was finally starting to experiment with like our vegan dough and putting things together so we could have a vegan cinnamon roll too. And I remember I wanted to present it to my family at first, and one of my older sisters, she kept asking me all these questions, and I ended up getting so pissed off because I'm just like, in my mind, I'm just like, look, just eat it. Like, why are you asking me so many questions? But I realized that was because I didn't know how to communicate it properly to her. Now, was it truly vegan? Yes, but I just wasn't understanding what she wasn't understanding about it. So that's why I was getting so frustrated. And I remember I was just like, you know what? Bump this. I don't even want to do this anymore. Like, I was just over it. I wanted to quit Cranky Grannies, wanted to stop doing it. I remember I even went on Facebook and I was like, I'm done with Cranky Grannies. I'm not doing this anymore, whatever the case is. And I had to come to the realization that, it was just my communication skills at that time. Like anybody's going to want to know what they're putting into their bodies, whether it's good or bad, you know what I mean? So I think that's really what it was, me just learning how to communicate properly. But that was one instance where I just was like ready to throw in this towel completely. But there's been many times after that too. There's many days that I don't want to get up and keep doing it because, I mean, like I said, it's hard to be not only managing the store and handling the bills and everything like that that's here, but also even the staff, the customers. Like once you start bringing people into the equation too, that's when it starts to become a lot harder because sometimes you have that mindset where it's like, why can't y'all just do what it is I need you to do? Why can't I just replicate myself? But you just can't. So a lot of times I do have times where I'm just like, man, I don't even feel like doing this anymore. But I have that tunnel vision and know that, this is going to continue to keep going far. And Cranky Grannies has a whole lot more that we need to accomplish. And I even think now, like, if I really would have just decided to quit that day back when I was 20, I would have never had, accomplished as many things that we did for Cranky Granny Sweet Rolls. We've had a residency over in Las Vegas. We've opened up. This is the second location right now, but we have another store that we're about to open up as well. So it's like there's been so many different things that we've been able to accomplish that if I would have stopped every single time I really wanted to, we never would have done it. And I don't even know what my life would look like right now. Yeah, so right here we have Granny, the famous Granny. So Granny is the inspiration behind Cranky Granny Sweet Rolls. Obviously, she is the face of it and everything. I was able to pull a picture of her from her and my uncle, and I sent it over to a graphic designer, and I was like, hey, can we incorporate this picture somehow and also have like these different colors and stuff like that? Because I was looking for colors that were also going to be able to make people like happy and hungry. So I did even research into that, and then we was able again pull Granny's Faith from it, add a cinnamon roll, and now we have Cranky Granny sweet rolls. But Granny specifically is the inspiration behind the business. So I remember growing up going over to Granny's house over in Philly, and it was always like games, food, laughter, desserts. It was always great times going over there. I cannot remember any bad times over at Granny's house. So I wanted to be able to basically take that same experience I was able to have as a kid and bring it into other people's lives with Cranky Granny sweet rolls. Got you. So here at Cranky Granny Sweet Rolls, we offer a variety of different cinnamon rolls. So I used to work at this place called Rita's Water Ice, where we had a variety of different water ice flavors. And I was like, you know what? That would be super cool if we was able to do that with cinnamon rolls. So we originally started out with classic caramel, apple, and mocha. But since then, we've grown our our different flavors to over 50 different flavors that we've been able to offer here at Cranky Granny's. So we have our 12 to 15 regular flavors plus secret menu, plus we do a different flavor of the week every week. So we have a couple of different ones for you right here. We have our classic cinnamon roll, our churro. This is one of the ones that we came up with when we came here to Texas. A strawberry shortcake, a wet walnut, cookies and cream, and this is one of our newest flavors, our cookie butter banana crunch. So my reason to want to succeed was really, it started with like, I seen examples of what I didn't want to be like. And then it also turned into, I had my niece and nephews, and I was like, you know, I think that would be really good to be able to show them a good representation of, if you want to create something, you can make it go really big. So like my niece and nephews, they follow us here on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and stuff like that. And they see all the different things that I've been able to do with the business, and they're super proud, always telling their teachers and everything about us. So, I mean, I feel like they're able to see, okay, if I want to create a business, I can do that, because my aunt Sianni was able to do that same thing. I think that I would want people to, like, you know, remember me for somebody who was willing to take a risk. I have a very high risk tolerance, and someone who also didn't make excuses for themselves. I always found some type of way to get something done. If you really want to, it's a possible, it's a way to live. And I feel like I've been a perfect example of showing people that no matter what gets in my way, I'm still going to make sure I can jump over those hurdles.